This is Taylor Marr presenting my case study assignment for CSD 405. The client that I chose to do this case study project on is KL. KL is a 9-year-old, 6-month Mandarin English-speaking male. He's the older of 2 children born to his biological parents. He achieved his motor milestones at expected times, but then was referred to services at 24 months of age due to a delay in his first words, which were not seen until 36 months of age. Since then, it has been determined that being bilingual does not contribute to KL's current level of functioning. Presently, KL is a student in a monolingual integrated co-teaching classroom, as well as attending tutoring sessions weekly outside of the school setting. He also attends St. John's University Speech and Hearing Center once a week for a 45-minute session to address significant delays in language and communication exacerbated by social and behavioral concerns. KL sessions at SJU Speech and Hearing Center aim to increase his receptive language skills and increase verbal expression, and are currently focusing on 4 specific areas. His short-term goals include independently answering WH questions with 60% accuracy, independently following 2-step directions with 75% accuracy, identifying 2 events from a reading to add to a story organizer with 80% accuracy, and demonstrating sequencing skills with 75% accuracy. Before I get into telling you about the activity, I wanted to give you a better idea of who KL is. Our first session together at the beginning of the semester was far from pretty. KL appeared completely uninterested in any of the materials that I had or engaging with me at all. But since that first session, he has made impressive strides in his performance. He has met all of his initial short-term goals and is excelling with the new goals that have been set for him. Throughout this semester, KL and I have established an incredible rapport, and I can honestly say that our weekly sessions have become fun for the both of us. KL is a funny and inquisitive boy who loves Pokemon, Minecraft, and is nearly obsessed with Annoying Orange. Every week, he becomes more and more engaged in the session and has shown his growth not only in the specific skills that we have worked on, but also in his social skills. For this case study, I chose to highlight KL's goal of following 2-step directions. The goal is to independently follow 2-step directions with 75% accuracy. The activity conducted addresses not only his goal of following directions, but also works to enhance his listening skills. These skills together are extremely important because, according to ASHA, informal classroom discourse, as much as 15% of what the teacher says is in the form of procedural language. So the idea for KL is to take what we do in the sessions and bring it into his daily classroom experiences. For this activity, KL and I sat opposite each other at the table in the therapy room. He is presented with this image that you see on your left and given crayons and a pencil. Prior to beginning the activity, KL was verbally presented with the setup of the activity, which he was familiar with, and reminded that he would be listening to 2-step directions and that it is important that he listen to all of the direction before completing the tasks, and that I would only be repeating the direction once. Then he was presented with 11 2-step directions verbally, one at a time. Prior to reading each set of directions, I would cue KL to listen by saying, "Are you ready?" This cue was an extremely important part of his success. I found that without this cue, the client's performance suffered. This also allowed me to determine whether KL had the ability to follow the 2-step directions and helps to eliminate the possibility that he was simply not listening. In the future, I would like to begin to lessen this cue with the hope that the client will self-regulate his listening skills for the duration of the activity. Another important detail lies in the actual directions of the activity. The first time that we did this activity, KL was presented with a beach scene and given directions such as color the sand brown, the water blue, and the sun yellow. Because these tasks presented the opportunity for KL to predict what the directions would be, I changed the directions to be less predictable moving forward. For example, you can see here that some of the directions including color a dog purple, clouds green, or turning a dog's ball into a pokeball. This ensured that KL would have to listen to the verbal directions in order to collect the information necessary to complete the task and would be unable to guess what the direction was if he didn't remember. If KL asked for a repetition or appeared as though he was in need of a repetition, I would first ask him what he remembered me saying. And then, if he still required cueing, I would repeat the direction or the portion of the direction that KL could not remember. If no repetition was provided, he received credit for completing the two-step direction, even if I said, well, what did you remember? During the activity, KL remained extremely focused and engaged. He independently followed 8 out of 11 two-step directions, which resulted in a 72% accuracy rate for this activity. The client experienced success for the additional 3 two-step directions with minimal cueing. The minimal cueing consisted of a single repetition of the direction, or portion of the direction that KL did not remember. During the activity, KL independently asked for repetitions on multiple occasions. KL has done this for the past 4 consecutive sessions in which this activity was presented. This shows great improvement in his ability to be a self-advocate and make his needs known. During some of the tasks, there were longer periods of time in which KL was coloring large spaces, for example, when he was coloring the sky. This naturally led to longer periods without instruction. During this time, KL initiated conversation with me about activity-related topics and non-activity-related topics. For example, when he drew and colored the clouds green, he commented on the color of the clouds and then asked why are they that color. This then led to a conversation on what would come out of these clouds, green apples. And he asked me whether I like green apples because they're sour. He also initiated conversation about non-activity related topics. For example, he asked me if I liked Annoying Orange and if I knew about some of the things Annoying Orange and his friends did together. This ability to initiate conversation is a huge thing for KL. It exemplifies his growth and his ability to engage in social situations and non-session related conversations. Some things that I believe went well during this activity was the client's high level of engagement, his ability to self-advocate, and his ability to initiate and engage in conversation. Although these things may seem simple for us, this is a huge, huge accomplishment for him. In terms of improving this activity, I believe that decreasing the "Are you ready" cue will be a challenge, but will eventually be beneficial for KL to self-regulate his listening skills. I also think that giving him more direct feedback on his performance will be beneficial. For example, he often uses strategies to help himself remember the directions. One time he took out the color crayons that he would need as I said the colors. A good way to give him good feedback would be to say, I really like the way that you took out the colors as I said them. That's a great strategy to use to help you remember what I said. This hopefully will encourage him to continue to use this strategy and others like it in the future. Overall, I think the session went quite well, and I am extremely proud of the progress that KL has made throughout the semester, and I'm very eager to see how he will continue to progress in the future.